Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaura Hari Bo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribhasha Kacharya Ashtotar Sisi Mati Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribhasha Kacharya Ashtotar Sisi Mati Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vindiki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Gangamai Ki Yamunamai Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samavita Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Yugadhar Maharinam Sankirtan Ki Brihat Vidanga Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. Glory to the Samadi devotees, all glory to the Samadi devotees, all glory to the Samadi devotees, all glory to Shri Guru Shri Gaura. Hare Krishna. It's a pleasure to be here and have this opportunity to address all of you. And very happy to see these many of you, young, some are middle, some are getting older, like me, and but happy to have this opportunity and to see your enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness. So today I wanted to depart a little bit from what I would normally would be a normal lecture on Bhagavad Gita, to address what I feel is a reality in our present Krishna consciousness movement, and to show how, especially here in India, in Bharat, as is popular now, although the Bharat movement was there when Prabhupada was present, but he said India. But anyway, whatever. How actually the movement here can counter, to a certain degree, a natural tendency toward what I call Krishna consciousness light. Otherwise, be more interested, see Krishna consciousness as a duty rather than our relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. Because Krishna consciousness is actually a relationship. So I wanted to read one verse, which is not a very normal verse that anyone would read. And you'll see why. This is 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text number 11. So I'm just going to repeat the verse myself. It's not a nectar verse. Although everything's ultimately nectar because it's spoken by Krishna. But Krishna also, his Sudarshan chakra is nectar, but if it comes in contact with you, it may not feel so nectarian. So, Atetad apsaktu si kartum adyogam ashta savakarma palam tyagam tata kuru yatatmavam. Oh, I'm sorry, I read the wrong verse. It's verse number 12. Yeah. Sheo hi jnanam abhyasad jnanad dhyanam vishishate dhyanad karma palam tyagas jagachantur anantaram. Translation. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. So before I read the purport, I want to just go back and read a couple of the previous verses to show the progression. So first, Arjuna, in this chapter, he asks Krishna, what is better, impersonal meditation, impersonal understanding, or worshipping the Supreme? And then Krishna says, Klesho dikataraste sham avyakta vyakta chetasam, that avyakta hi gatir dukam, that this impersonal method is very difficult. So many difficulties. Then he begins to express why pure bhakti yoga is the best. 6 and 7. He says, those that worship me, giving up their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating on me, having fixed their minds upon me. For them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So that basically means undeviated devotional service, spontaneous devotional service. Then Krishna says, because we can see that Krishna is very fair. Even sometimes we have certain standards, and we can't go below that. 16 rounds, you know, 4 regulated principles, get up early. Of course, in some cases, only you know that. And if you live in the ashram, then it's different. But if not, it's up to you. But early can be relative, very relative term for many. But anyway, the point is, but here Krishna gives so many options. Then he says, my dear Arjuna, winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So this is what we're doing. This is our platform. Then, but that may be difficult for some, especially those that work, go to school and everything. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So here we have Karma Yoga. Then Krishna says, if, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act, giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. Otherwise, this is like friend of Krishna. And then, now the verse we just read. But if you can't do that, then try to cultivate some knowledge. Krishna doesn't say knowledge about me. Otherwise, he's saying, do something good. Understand morality, understand good things in life. And then this will give you some basis. Just like here in Juhu, when Srila Prabhupada was present, let me just Om Jnana Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dati Swaparantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Srila Prabhupada would walk, and one of his dear friends, Dr. Patel, he would walk with him. Sometimes he would be very obedient to Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes he would argue with Prabhupada. So one time, Srila Prabhupada said, so there is also sacrifice of animals like the goat for those who are addicted to meat eating. And Dr. Prabhupada said, no, this is not good. This is not, we are Vaishnava. Prabhupada said, yes, we are Vaishnava. But some are not Vaishnava. No, but they should not kill the animal. Yes, Prabhupada said, yes, we should not kill the animal. But some will kill the animal, and therefore it is authorized. He said, no, it is not authorized. He's arguing. Prabhupada said, yes. And then finally Prabhupada said that the Vedas are made for everyone. They give everyone an opportunity. So this verse is very similar to the Vedic process. Otherwise, even there are descriptions in the Vedas of negative, otherwise people who want to hurt other people or curse people, there's even a Vedic way to do it. So at least if you do that anyway, you do it by the Vedic process, then there's some following of the Vedas which will give you some degree of punya with all your other karma, and you will be able to gradually elevate yourself. So this is what Krishna is doing here. Finally, Dr. Patel accepted it. He said to Prabhupada, you are my guru. He said, if I am the guru, why are you arguing? He said, no, you are the guru. And Prabhupada said, then you accept what I say? He said, always. And then you start arguing again. So this is Tadvidi Pranipatena. The first principle is be submissive. Even Krishna says, Srila Prabhupada says in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, at least when you read this Bhagavad Gita, accept theoretically that Krishna is God, is the Supreme Person, Bhagavan. Otherwise, Bhagavad Gita will make no sense. As I've said many times, even a person so intelligent as Einstein, who read Bhagavad Gita regularly, could not understand it. So you cannot understand Gita by intelligence, or by, you can only understand by devotion, the only way. And if you want to really understand it, as Krishna says in the 11th chapter, then you have to, it has to be pure devotional service. So anyway, so Krishna is saying here, and I just want to read a little part of the purport. I'm not going to read the whole purport. As mentioned in previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service: the way of regulative principles and full attachment in love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge, one can be able to understand his real position. So this is going back to the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You understand this Sankhya, and then you can understand who you are. Just like one time Srila Prabhupada was speaking with one professor in France, a very intelligent professor. So he said, Swamiji, can you tell me about the esoteric relation between Radha and Krishna? And Prabhupada said, who are you? And he said, I'm Professor so-and-so. And Prabhupada said, no, who are you? And he said, I'm Professor so-and-so. Prabhupada said, no, who are you? And he turned to the devotees. Maybe he doesn't understand my English. And the devotee said, no, he understands you perfectly. You don't understand him. And so he said, actually, Swamiji, I wanted to know about Radha Krishna. And Prabhupada said, we are not interested in Radha and Krishna. He said, so he was totally bewildered. Prabhupada said, unless you understand who you are not this body, you are spirit soul. Professor so-and-so, that means this body. Now you are professor, then you are something else. Then you may be dog and cat, or you may be king, but you don't know. So then Prabhupada said, unless you understand this, there's no question of Radha and Krishna. Otherwise, Radha and Krishna is nice mythology, that helps us understand how to enjoy life. So that's what people think, many foolish people. So, avajananti mam mudha. They cannot understand Krishna's supreme transcendental nature. So, here it's describing that this knowledge will bring you to the point of devotional service. So, it's very important that we cultivate knowledge properly. So then, Prabhupada speaks about knowledge. Gradually, knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. So here Srila Prabhupada describing, for one who cannot perform devotional service, then you learn this meditative process. This is also spoken about in the second chapter of the second canto of Bhagavatam. Described first starts in the first chapter at the end, and the second chapter it goes into this meditative process, and ultimately, as Prabhupada says here, by meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by a gradual process. So this is described, one becomes a yogi, then the yogi meditates in a very systematic way, and then finally he meditates on Paramatma in the heart. And if he's fortunate, then actually Krishna will manifest in the heart, and Radha and Krishna. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Of course, at the end, he says, this, what I'm describing here, Srila Prabhupada says, what's being described here, renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the Supersoul and Brahman, should be followed by these people. But Bhagavad Gita is a direct method. Everyone is advised to take the direct method and surrender unto the Supreme Personality of God. So the point here is that we see modern society. One good friend of mine in Krishna Consciousness, he was a GBC man for a certain area. So he decided that I want to create a situation where I want the devotees to live in such a way that people will be attracted to coming, people who are living ordinary lifestyle. So he's told all the devotees, I want everybody to get a house. I want everybody to get, and get a job and work in society. And this way people will identify with you. But actually what happened was everybody got a house and a job and started, trying to preach to people, but they got more attracted to the way that people were living than surrendering to Krishna. And then I helped them, then we had to kind of reverse things. So Srila Prabhupada said, if you go fishing, don't get pulled in the water. You want to catch the biggest fish, but if the fish is too big, he will pull you in the water. So this is what it means, that if you take the association of materialistic people, then instead of giving them Krishna consciousness, you will take their material consciousness. And this is what happens if we're not very careful in our spiritual life. Because, I think many of you, maybe most of you, are living outside. You have some work, study, whatever. And so you have to associate with materialistic people. And those materialistic people, will, just like when I remember when I joined Krishna Consciousness when I was in the army. And when I came back with a box of Srimad Bhagavatam, thinking I'll go to my old friends and convince them, how could this is, Bhagavatam's knowledge. So I had this big gathering, called all my friends. It's very happy to see me. and say, let's go do this, let's go do it, let's dance, listen. I said, no. Everybody take one of that. I gave everybody a Bhagavad Gita and started reading. No, I thought they would go, I've been lost in the illusion. And after about 2 paragraphs, they said, what is this? It doesn't make any sense. Let's do this, let's do that. And I said, oh. And then I went to my parents. First thing I said, you don't understand. We've never went to the moon. No. They said, he's crazy. So then I realized that preaching Krishna consciousness is science, and you can't do it fanatically. So to find this point where we can live a Krishna conscious life, and at the same time take care of our duties, just like the most common question I have, especially with an Indian audience, whether it be in India or elsewhere, is, hey, how can I do all this? I have my duty. Bhagavad Gita is so clear about prescribed duty and standard duty and the real duty. Real duty is to surrender to Krishna, as Srila Prabhupada says here. So the point I want to make is that we live in a society where people will only change if they see an example. Therefore, I always say the Grihasthas are the best preachers, the most essential preachers, because Grihasthas, people can identify with the Grihastha. They can't identify with the brahmachari. They can respect them, yes, sadhu, but and the sadhu, when the sadhu goes away, I do what I want. And so, but with the Grihastha, you can't do that because they're also working and they also have children and they also have to, pay rent or pay for a property or whatever they're doing. So therefore, they have no excuse. Just like when we were building the Houston temple. So there was a group of devotees, 3 devotees, they would take me. So I would give a little class. And then they would say, everyone needs to donate. We need this temple. And they say, no, I have. So the 3 devotees would say, I gave this much. I gave this much. I gave this much. And they're the same. They have a house. They have a family. So the people would be forced to give. This was our technique. And it worked. And we were able to build the temple. So, you have a very special duty, and this duty is not something new. This is actually the path that was shown by Srila Prabhupada. He was married, he had a family, he had children, he had a job, but every day he would sit on his veranda and call people. People were just walking by, he would call them, and he would start speaking about Bhagavad Gita. This is how he began his preaching. And they had to listen. He would speak to his neighbors. He would speak to he would encourage his friends to come and take prasadam, the people he knew, and he would preach Bhagavad Gita to them. And then he invited one of his godbrothers, who was a sannyasi, and then Prabhupada would play the harmonium and chant. Prabhupada would speak from Bhagavad Gita, and then the sannyasi godbrother would speak a little more. But the disciple of that sannyasi godbrother told me that the people were more impressed by Srila Prabhupada than by my Guru Maharaj, because they understood him. He was like them, and they could see that in spite of the fact that he had all the demands in life, just like they had, Prabhupada was totally Krishna conscious. So this is what we have to do. And this is what Srila Prabhupada means by surrendering to Krishna. It doesn't mean you come and live in a temple. Of course, if someone's not married, I'm not saying you should get married. That depends on one's nature. But most people end up that way anyways, in the long run. You know, unless somebody thinks brahmachari cheaper and easier. You know, but it's not. It's more difficult. You know, and it's not. Actually, in Los Angeles temple, we had some brahmacharis who were, wanted to be a new style of brahmachari. They had a job, were orange and had a job and had a car and had an apartment. And so we used to call those devotees creamsicles because there was an ice cream truck that would go by the temple every day. Prabhupada, when it went by, Prabhupada would say, just see, this is Maya singing. This is Maya chanting. Come and enjoy. But they had one ice cream. It was very interesting. It was an ice cream bar, and it had an orange coating, but it had white ice cream on the inside. So these brahmacharis said, "A creamsicle, orange on the outside, white on the inside." So we want our devotees to be honest. Be a grihastha, be a brahmachari, but be a real one, and be a real grihastha. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, we've heard Srila Prabhupada say, what is the difference between grihastha and grihamedi? The beginning of the second chapter of Bhagavatam describes grihamedi. It describes, the first verse describes a grihastha. Variyaneshate prashna, that always krituhitatam rajam samatam. I can't remember the verse right now, but anyway, it says that one who is always speaking about Krishna and inquiring about Krishna. These are questions that are authorized by saintly persons, and that type of hearing is. And then it goes into everybody else. Griheshu griha medinam. The griha medis, they're always hearing about everything except for Krishna, and so we want grihasthas, and therefore all of you who are congregation. Prabhupada was a congregational devotee. Sometimes people think congregational devotee, that means big adhikar. I can do what I want. But it doesn't mean that. Prabhupada was a congregational devotee. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a congregational devotee. And he wrote 125 books of the deepest Krishna consciousness. He redefined Krishna consciousness in Vedic terms, but in modern understanding. And so this is Grihastha. Grihastha, it just means that my griha, Prabhupada said in one class, what is the difference between the griha and the temple? Prabhupada said both are made from bricks, but Grihastha, a place where a Grihastha ashram, Prabhupada said there is no difference between the Grihastha ashram and the temple. Otherwise, this is how seriously we should take our Krishna consciousness. Then the Krishna consciousness, then we will be able to guide people. Because practically speaking, 99% even of modern society in India, I always observe in our different temples, people coming. And of course there's some that are devotees, but the majority are coming, they go, they bow down to the deity, take some blessings, go through the mechanics, then they go outside, take some selfies of themselves in the temple, and this and that. And they can't do that with the deities anymore, but they do that outside. And then they go home, and they see the temple as a nice place where I can get my wishes fulfilled, and not the place where I can go surrender to Krishna. So even a temple full of deities, of course they get benefit. They get benefit. But it depends on our congregation to convert these people. Otherwise, there'll be just a few people that surrender, you know, and we have our youth program, so many young people in school. They will, maybe some of you joined through the youth program, but all of you, if we all live, all the devotees who are in the Grihastha ashram, in the proper way, and as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did to Kurma Brahman, he wanted to be a brahmachari. I mean, he wanted to be a vanaprastha, let's say, because he was Grihastha. When he saw Lord Chaitanya came with his devotees, chanting, dancing, all day long, that's what they do, thinking I'm here, whatever work he was doing, or whatever perennial duties he was doing, he told Lord Chaitanya, I want to leave my family and go with you. That was his desire. Just like in USA in 1975, 74, 75, we started the Radha Damodar temple, Radha Damodar bus party. I was on it for some time. And so we would go to the temples and we would try to convince people that, why are you staying in the temple? You have to do so many things. Come and travel in the bus. We're doing a revolution, taking over, going for universities, all nice brahmachari association. We were stealing brahmacharis from the temple. Until 1976, we all came to Mayapur, and Prabhupada disbanded the Radha Damodar party. He said, first he told 1975, do not take any more brahmacharis from the temple. So then the technique was the bus would go visit a temple, and then they would have a little festival outside the temple and invite the brahmacharis and say, now you can come with us. We're not taking anybody from the temple. They're coming voluntarily. Prabhupada didn't accept. And so the point is that Grihastha ashram is so important in this phase of Krishna consciousness. Is almost more important than the temple itself. Because if you open up your houses, which is the famous verse, Jari Dagatari Kaha Krishna Upadesh, Amaya Gara Guru Hanyatara Desh. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Kurma Brahman that just wherever you go, whomever you meet, just tell them about Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Kurma Brahman, stay in your home. And all the people around you, you preach to them. So this is so effective. I've seen it personally, that people become more Krishna conscious when our Grihasthas are preaching like this. Everybody lives somewhere. And you have so many people living around you. Let's say you have a flat. So if you have a flat, you may have 30 families above and 20 families below, or maybe less or more. And you can think, here Krishna has put me here, for somehow I've ended up here. Let me cultivate all these people. Big job. And I've seen some devotees who are doing this in Pune and in Delhi. They're actually preaching to, all the people around them. And so many people are becoming Krishna conscious. And they become serious. But it all depends on our surrender. Because you can't give something you don't have. You can't convince someone to surrender if you're not surrendered. Of course, if we give Srila Prabhupada's books, the possibility is there that people will surrender. But as we see, Krishna gives all these options, and most people take the last option. Yeah. Oh, it's authorized. Krishna says it right here. And we always look for the, minimum. Just like I've mentioned this several times. I'll mention it again. When one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how can I chant my 16 rounds with quality? And Srila Prabhupada said, 16 rounds means no quality. No. Means minimum. No. Minimum means no quality. So generally we look for the minimum in spiritual life and the maximum in material life. That's a tendency. The body wants to enjoy, wants to feel pleasure, and the mind wants to enjoy on the subtle platform, and the intelligence wants to enjoy intellectual exercise. So we have this tendency to and try to do the minimum. So then Krishna consciousness becomes more like an insurance policy. Make sure that I don't take I can get a better body and, better material situation. That'll, maybe I'll go back home back to Godhead, but at least I'll have a better material situation and maybe a better devotional situation. Sometimes we think like that. Or we think, and Srila Prabhupada anticipated this, I'm so busy now. I will be more. When I finish all this, when I finish paying off this flat, then I can be so Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada said, do not wait to become serious in the last 3 years. Prabhupada didn't say the last 7 days, like Parikshit Maharaj. Because we think, when I get older, just like Srila Prabhupada in an interview, one young reporter, very young man, said, Swami, why is it that you have all these young people suffering so much, doing all these, difficult spiritual labor? They should be enjoying life. This is something you do when you're older. Isn't it, Swamiji? And Srila Prabhupada said, what do you mean by older? He said, well, advanced age. Prabhupada said, I understand older means you are close to the moment of death. I said, yeah, okay, I can accept that. So Prabhupada said, when will you die? So, maybe 50 years. Prabhupada said, yes, but you could die tomorrow. I said, yes. Said, then chant Hare Krishna. So, we should not leave it for the last 3 years or last 5 years. And in the meantime, I'm preparing myself, but what I'm really doing is putting it off. It's transcendental procrastination. That I would put it off until later. And, because I'm busy, it's authorized, doing my duty. So if we just, think like Katwanga Maharaj. Katwanga was fighting in the celestial planets, and at the petition of the demigod, he fought better, even better than the demigod Kshatriyas, and they were so grateful. They said, my dear Katwanga Maharaj, we will give you 2 boons, whatever you want. And he said, okay, I want to know, when will I die? And they said, well, actually, because you've been in the celestial planets for so long, as soon as you leave, you'll die, because your time is up on the, on Martyaloka. And he said, then my second is, let me become Krishna conscious. So, because if I have to die, let me be Krishna conscious. So we should think like that. Maybe I will die tomorrow. How do I know? Maybe something will happen. Maybe, maybe there'll be a war. Just like now, everybody's living in this consciousness. A few months ago, think, no, I can invest, I can do this, I can enjoy. Now people are thinking, well, what happens if this? Even if nothing happens here in India or anywhere else, if you don't happen to be in the Middle East or West Asia, as now it's called, expanding Asia. So used to be Middle East, now it's West Asia. So Even if before everybody was happy, now everybody's thinking our economy is being affected. Fuel prices are going up. Cost of living will become more. There may be certain scarcities. The government may not be able to supply this. Maybe there will be power shortages. No. Just because of a war going on in a very limited region. So, and in any case, we're always at war. Prakriti stani karshati, as Krishna says in chapter 13. Everyone is struggling for existence. We're at a war. We're at a war with our mind. We're at a war with our senses. We're at a war with all the Maya that's calling us and trying to keep us in illusion. So, the war is already there. We just forget about that. We think, just like Srila Prabhupada said, that he was talking about communism and capitalism. So Prabhupada said, this is just like the cow manure. You have the dry side and the wet side. So he said, dry side is like communism, wet side is like capitalism. So, but it's still the same. It's just one side may appear like if you're cooking, the dry side is better. If you're, making a house, then the wet side is better. So, but it's still the same substance. So we start to think this war is very bad, but this war is good. This Maya, this is good Maya, and this is bad Maya. Bad Maya means breaking the principles, but good Maya means enjoy life, be happy, with my family. Of course, there is. If you have a family, there has to be some recreation. There has to be some, you can't shove Krishna consciousness down the throat of your family, but there has to be some affection. There has to be, interchange. But we don't allow ourselves to be carried away by these things. And so, this is what Krishna consciousness means. That we have to say, just like in Ramayana, Lord Ramachandra says, if someone says, today I will surrender to you, then I will give them all protection. But if they say it, and just like it says, if you chant the holy name once, then you will become ecstatic. But what kind of once chanting? It means chanting without offenses. Not that I will chant once, and we've all chanted more than once, and we're still struggling. So that once. So we have to be a little serious. That's my point. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says at the end of this purport, this is not for people who take Bhagavad Gita very seriously. This is for people who think that Bhagavad Gita is made for, for some. It's made to be taken step by step, and it is step by step, but not so small steps that I don't get anywhere. Just like I saw one man walking the other day, and he had obviously some physical difficulty, and so I went away and I came back, and he had advanced about maybe 80 meters, in 15 minutes. So not that kind of step. Just like last time I was in Suriname, one country in South America. It's like jungle. It's the country that has most trees per population in the world. Very small population, and kind of a lot of jungle. So they have one animal, the sloth. Sloth is like a little bear with big claws, and I saw the sloth, and then we went away and came back in 2 hours, and he had moved about 3 meters. They're famous for that. They move like this. So we don't want to advance Krishna consciousness like that. No. We want to be, fast road runner, fast Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, one should be realistic and understand that we have certain psychological needs. But those are secondary. Otherwise, we can accept some degree of comfort, some degree of adjustment. If it causes our Krishna consciousness to increase, then this should be the measurement. I can accept whatever I need, just like Srila Prabhupada. He accepted, just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he accepted a vehicle. No sannyasi before that would even dare to go in a vehicle. But he did. He showed that this will increase Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada crossed the ocean. Everyone told him, you can't do that. This is not allowed for sannyasi. They're not supposed to cross the ocean. But he did it because it increased Krishna consciousness. And this is Yukta Vairagya. But Rupa Goswami says, one very important aspect of Yukta Vairagya is it must be done with discrimination. You must understand, it's not like, I like this, and therefore let me offer it to Krishna so that I can enjoy it. It means I want to utilize this in Krishna's service so it will increase his pleasure, not my pleasure. That is the discretion, the discernment that we have to use when we practice Krishna consciousness. So this is what Krishna recommends in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, balance. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little, don't sleep too much. Always have balance. Balance is more difficult than going to extremes. Bhoga tyaga, that I enjoy, then I get sick, so I give it up. And then I get well and I enjoy. And then I get sick and I give it up. But this is what most of us are doing if we're not careful. And so, therefore, what everyone is doing now, what we're trying to do together, satsanga or sadhu sangha, this is the solution. Because everything in Krishna consciousness becomes concrete when we see it manifested in others. Just like humility. How can you describe humility? Just like someone who is very poor and miserable, they may appeal to be humble, but it's because they're forced to be humble. So that's not humility. Just like renunciation. There are many apparent renunciants living on the street. See them sleeping on the, but they're not renounced, because renounce means you had something to give up. So they're forced. You give them something, and you'll see how much renunciation they have. And so, the point is that we have to acquire this Krishna consciousness by hearing Gita, by chanting nicely, by following this program that Srila Prabhupada has given us. And be realistic in your Krishna consciousness, but be progressive. Always take a step toward Krishna every day. Every day, what will I do? Let me read one more verse. Let me make sure I read a verse. And let me not just read it and forget it. Let me read it, meditate on it, just like it says here. You get the knowledge, and then you meditate on it, and then you apply it. And when you apply it, there's renunciation. So this is how Krishna consciousness works. If every day we take a step toward Krishna, therefore, of course, Vaisheshika Prabhu How many know Vaisheshika Prabhu or know of him? Almost everybody. I can see you're a Sankirtan-oriented congregation. No? So he has his program chapter a day. But if you can't do a chapter a day, do a verse a day. And try to do a chapter a day. And if we always do this, try to increase our Krishna consciousness. Because otherwise material nature will force us to increase our material consciousness. We will try to make more money. We will try to do this. Always we'll try to get more. We'll always think I need more. Because material life means I'm always lacking. There's always something missing. I have to have. Because that is the nature of the soul. The nature of the soul, anandam buddhivardhanam. My bliss must expand every day. This is the nature of Krishna consciousness. If I don't have Krishna consciousness, that same desire coming from the soul will manifest through the subtle body and then in the gross body. And you have to increase. So either you will increase your Krishna consciousness or you will increase your material life. No, you have to do this. Srila Prabhupada gave this example when he was in New York. And I'll conclude with this. He said he took a train. First time he ever used a metro, subway, metro. He went and, very confusing. I don't know how, I haven't taken many metros here, but the metro in New York is like, 4 different floors. And you have to figure out which floor goes to which place, which is which line, the red line, the green line, the blue line, the L, the M, they're all in one place. And you have like 4 different floors. And then you have to figure out if it's the uptown or the downtown. And if you have to figure out if it's the local or the express, which one, if you take the express and you have to stop 2 stops down, it will pass it. And then you have to get off and go back. So it's very confusing. And so Prabhupada took the train, he went the wrong direction. So then Prabhupada wrote an article, he said, just like taking the train, you will go very quickly, but you either go very quickly where you want to go or where you don't want to go. So material nature is like that, and Krishna consciousness is like that. Either we have to allow Krishna consciousness to take us closer to Krishna at the greatest speed possible. It'll differ, but always wanting to get there. Or material nature will take us closer and closer to Maya as quickly as possible. The quickest possible is tamagu, the immediate full immersion in Maya. And like a festival, Krishna Conscious festival is full immersion in Krishna. But we have to make every day a festival in Krishna consciousness. Every day, not that we start to see our Krishna consciousness as something routine. The external activity may be routine, but the internal experience has to be ever increasing. And then Krishna consciousness becomes very dynamic. Just like I had one brahmachari got married, and he said to me, Maharaj, I feel very bad because, a few months ago I was distributing 80 books a day, and now I can't even go out and distribute books. I said, yes, but he said, because I have to work now, I have a family, I have a child, and it wasn't a few months, a few years. You can't have children so quick. So, no, there may be a new method like 3D children or something. Get a 3D, one of these 3D copiers, and just copy, here, I'll copy this child. But anyway, so I said, yes, but you can internally, every day, you can understand something more about Bhagavatam. You can understand something about Bhagavad Gita. You can increase internally. Even if you're having so many difficulties in life, I lost my job. My wife left me. or I got married, or I got, something happened. My husband did this, whatever. My son uh, became a Muslim, whatever. And so, even in a difficulty, then you can take more shelter of Krishna internally. And so, this is something that we have to be very aware of. Don't let the external environment change our Krishna consciousness. Our duty is the same. Just let me go a little deeper. Let me remember, as Srila Prabhupada said, just hear every name of Krishna when you're chanting. Hare Krishna Rama. Srila Prabhupada said that means that here is Radha, here is Krishna, here is Vrindavan. Otherwise, that meditation should be there when I'm chanting the holy name. That's the minimum. That's like the minimum. Otherwise, Prabhupada was saying, when you chant the holy name properly, you will be in Vrindavan. You won't be. So even though you're sitting in your home or you're sitting in the temple and you're chanting japa, you will be in Vrindavan. If you're chanting properly, you will be in Vrindavan. Because Vrindavan is not a physical place. It's not a place, 120 kilometers from Delhi. It is the transcendental realm. And we can be living there. And just the last point, when Srila Prabhupada was, after the morning walk in Los Angeles, he would come and Pujari would come with some, rasgula, uh, burfi, sandesh. Each devotee would get some. Prabhupada would take some, everybody. So one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why did the 6 Goswamis not eat Mahaprasadam? No? Why did they eat like a handful of rice or, a little buttermilk or something? They had temples. Why didn't they take Mahaprasadam? And Prabhupada said, oh yes, they did, but they took it with Krishna. No? Otherwise, they were living in the same dusty Vrindavan with, very high temperatures and cold in the winter. Same place they were living, but they were with Krishna. And Prabhupada said, therefore, they were eating with Krishna. Just like Raghunath Das Goswami. He, one day, he woke up and he had pain in his stomach. So he sent his assistant to go get the Kaviraj. Couldn't understand what is happening. So Kaviraj came and said, took indigestion. And his assistant, he eats a palmful of, how can he have indigestion? No, indigestion. No. And so, and then Raghunath Das said, well, I have to admit, last night I had a dream. And in that dream, that Shrimati Radharani, Krishna gave her a big plate full of remnants. And she gave me that plate. And I ate everything. So he's in Vrindavan. But so powerful, the meditation. I just have to say one more because this meditation was very famous. When Pundarika Vidya Nidhi and Swarup Damodar were in Jagannath Temple. So they were watching the, what's it called? Odana Shasana. When they changed the cloth. So they put the new cloth on, but this is like stiff, You know how when you buy new cloth, sometimes you can stand it up and it won't fall down, it's like so much starch. So Vidyanidhi Pundarik said that this is improper. This is not clean. Hasn't been washed, not clean. And Swarup Damodar said, no, this is the custom here. Said, no, this is improper. These pujaris should be trained. No, it is the custom here. They argued a little bit. Then they went to their quarters. And that night, Pundarik, Jagannath and Baladev came to Pundarik in a dream. And they started slapping him on the cheeks. with their hand, and said, we like the pujaris as they are. No, don't try to change them. And next morning he looked in his mirror or whatever reflection, and he saw his cheeks were swollen and red. And then he said, oh, what mercy. And then Swarup Damodar was thinking, why has Pundarik not come to the temple? So he went to his quarters and he knocked on the door. And Pundarik, he just opened the door a little bit. And he said, and Swarup Damodar, why don't you let me come in? No, I'm not feeling well. And Swarup Damodar said, please let me in. I was concerned about you. So Pundarik let him in. What happened to your face? So Pundarik explained it. Swarup Damodar offered obeisances. And he said, I know many devotees who have dreamt about Krishna, but I have never met anyone whose dream manifested on the external platform. So this is what is waiting for us. These pastimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Vrindavan pastimes, they're inviting us. What are you doing in this material world? What are you doing in this material consciousness? This is what you could be doing right now. Or you don't have to wait till you leave your body and go back home, back to Godhead. You can experience this right here, right now, in Juhu, or wherever, even in Delhi, even in New York, even in Iran. I'm sure the devotees in Iran are chanting very seriously. Actually, I got a report that fortunately none of our devotees have been injured. And also in the Middle East, that there have been some very close calls. But so, one devotee told me that in Russia, one devotee who was in the times when, just after Prabhupada met, they put him in a concentration camp right next to a nuclear facility, with no prison, with no, just one blanket in the winter. You can imagine Russian winter. We start in Delhi. We start complaining when it gets to 12 degrees. We're like freezing. Here, if it gets down to 18, oh no, very cold. Like in the Caribbean, our devotees, it'll get down to 20, and they all have like a chadar and a hat. 20 degree tropical climate. So, but these devotees had one. But they said, this one devotee I spoke to, he said, I never have chanted so many wonderful rounds as when I was there. Totally, he said, totally dependent on Krishna. There was no. So this is the principle. Tatenu kamsham, tatenu kampam susamikshamana. That we patiently await Krishna's mercy however it comes. But we're very fortunate that we have nice environment, nice temple, nice association, nice prasadam, nice kirtan, beautiful deities. But sometimes we take it for granted, and we don't make sure that we're advancing every day in our Krishna consciousness. So this chapter of Bhagavad Gita, because the next verses, then they tell you what you should be doing. Just like three verses after this. Yasman no dvichate loko lokan nu dvichate saya. That's a very difficult one. It says one should never be disturbed by others, and one should never disturb others. Now that's a difficult thing. How many of us can do that? Never disturbed by anyone. Can any of you do that? Not so easy. And not disturb others. Of course, we may think I don't disturb anyone. My behavior is first class. But so this is, it's not that Krishna is letting us off the hook. He says now he starts with verse 13. First indication. Advaita sarva bhutanam. Don't be envious of any living being. Then we understand what is real Krishna consciousness. And it goes on, it gets deeper and deeper as the chapter goes on. So this is what we should be aspiring for, not this minimum here. And don't read verse 12, just read it very quickly and go to 13, 14 and onward. Then you'll become very dear to Krishna. And you can do this. All of this you can do in your home, in your, in your constant Krishna conscious life. So these are some thoughts on this aspect of living in this material world and not living in the material world. My body is in the world. Even the Christians, they say that. No. Christ said, I am in this world, but I am not of this world. So this is how we have to think. I'm not here. I'm actually not here. We're actually not here. We're in this body, but the soul is never affected by matter. It's only covered, never affected, can't be touched, can't be burned, can't be moistened, can't be dried. So when we read these things, sometimes it just seems like some theoretical Sankhya understanding. No. It's meant to penetrate it, make us think, and make us meditate on how deep Krishna consciousness is and how we should practice it very carefully. So anyway, it's something I wanted to share with all of you. I'll stop here. And any comments or questions? Yes, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, respected Maharaj. Thank you very much for the divine association. So my question is that in verse 11.5, Lord Krishna says that, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Now this word mysteries of my understanding, what is exactly Lord Krishna pointing at? Is it the teachings of Bhagavad Gita or the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, or it is some other spectrum Lord Krishna wants to point out?
Krishna says, Gyatum drashtum cha tattvena pravishtum cha parantapa. That if you do this, if you practice this unalloyed devotional service, then Gyatum, you will understand, you'll be able to understand me, and Drashtum, you'll be able to see me, and Pravishtum, you will understand the mystery. Now, what does the mystery mean? It means that you will understand my qualities, you will understand my pastimes. You won't understand them in an ordinary way. You will become immersed in them. Just like we sing every day in Guru Vastakam, that the spiritual master is constantly meditating on, and tears are falling from his eyes, and hairs are standing on end, as his mind is absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So this is what real Krishna consciousness is, and this is what it means, pravishtum. But it means unalloyed devotional service. So we can understand to some degree, but how do we understand? Again, the same point I was making. You understand it by seeing someone who is on that platform. And we all have the great fortune to see Srila Prabhupada. Just like one professor and a very distinguished friend of our movement who has left this world now, Thomas Hopkins, he gave a speech some years ago. I think it was some special ISKCON celebration. And he said that actually there are three people who have influenced society greatly in recent history. He said Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and Srila Prabhupada. He said, but of the three, Srila Prabhupada is the greatest. He's a Christian. He said Jesus Christ lived in his own land and preached to his own people. And Muhammad, he also lived in his own land and preached to his own people. Srila Prabhupada left his land with no money and preached to different people. I said, therefore, he's a and then he said that not only that, the Bible is some recollections of many people who only met Christ for a few days. The Quran is something that was spoken and written down. And who even understands the accuracy? He said, but you have all the recordings of Srila Prabhupada. You know exactly what he said. There's no it's not being interpreted. Of course, we can always interpret it in our own mind, or somebody can interpret it for us. But we have here's the actual book. It's actually printed. What Srila Prabhupada oversaw the printing. Jesus Christ didn't oversee the printing of the Bible. And so we have such a great fortune. He was making this point. And this is how Pravishtum Cha Parantapa. This is how we will enter into the mysteries of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, first of all, your holiness, I seek your blessings. My question is as follows. The present day corporate life, when we get promotions at the job, our day starts very early, as before 9 a.m. and may pass beyond 8 p.m. How do we manage the challenges of work and responsibility when the mindset of people is not spiritual, only has spiritual friends and attachment, and at the same time, no spiritual?
Read the biography of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Every day he would work for many hours. But because he was so Krishna conscious, even his material work, he accomplished very quickly. Srila Prabhupada would also work, but because he understood that this is something I do to maintain the body. I've made it part of my devotional service, but it's the minimal part. It's the least important part. The most important part. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Chaitanya Shikshamrita, he says that certain type of recreation, certain things are necessary, certain types of social interaction are necessary for most people, but we should do them in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he recommends their Krishna conscious plays. Just like if we want to make the society Krishna conscious around us, Srila Prabhupada spoke about this. And actually, we have the facility. You have a theater, and every day you have a different play. Something from Ramayana, something from Mahabharata, something from Chaitanya Charitamrita, something from Hitupadesha. And we could do these festivals in parks every day. Prabhupada wanted this, where there was a group called Vaikuntha Players, and Prabhupada wanted them to do plays. Unfortunately, they were young devotees, kind of fell in Maya, but men and women together, butter and fire. So there's a lot of melted butter, and so. But anyway, the idea was that they would every not every day, but there would be many groups like this. And this is something that I'm trying to, meditating on how to do here, that we could actually establish some buses where devotees travel. They go to a village, and you have a tent, put up a little pandal, you have a play, and you stay there 2-3 days, play, distribute books, music, and the people will be fascinated by Krishna consciousness. And I'm thinking, if we use culture and art, Srila Prabhupada says in 1.5, what is it? 1.5, is it 12? Could somebody look that up? I can't remember. I can't remember the verse right now. Maybe it's 1518. 1518. 1518. Yeah. So Prabhupada says that all these things, art, science, and philosophy, poetry, if they're used for Krishna, they become glorious. Otherwise, they're just mundane. It may be like a little nicer than, going to a Bollywood movie, but unless it's actually offered to Krishna. So if we do this, it will attract so many people. Prabhupada wanted this to happen. He wanted us, and this way, even if we're working or doing our whatever, we can't use that as an excuse not to be Krishna conscious. We have to see, this is what I'm doing to maintain the body. And the more we do that, and the more we become Krishna conscious, Krishna will make our work easier. When he sees that you want to be Krishna conscious more than anything else, he will give you the facility. Just like Srila Prabhupada. Krishna just told him through his Guru Maharaj and through his godbrother that Chik Sannyas, and everything changed. So he was working very hard, but everything changed. And I've seen one devotee in Germany. I told him, he said, how can I become more Krishna conscious? He was making, I asked him how much money he's making. I said, give half to Krishna every month. He thought, what? Swami, he wants to get my money. But actually, I wasn't living there. So I said, look, you just try this. So I met him again. Next year I passed through, and he said, it's amazing. I started doing that, and everything increased. And then, because everything increased, my Krishna consciousness decreased. And then everything decreased. So I decided that let me become more Krishna conscious. And even materially, everything became more easy. So if we take the risk, don't look for the material comfort zone. Look for the spiritual comfort zone. And then when Krishna sees this is what you really want, he will make even your material life easier. But we can't do it with the idea, let me make my material life easier. Then it doesn't work. You have to want to be Krishna conscious. And in spite of, because Krishna may make it more difficult just to see if you really want to be more Krishna conscious, or if you're trying to, do a deal with Krishna. No. Let me make an arrangement with Krishna. Krishna, I'll give you a little more. You make it easier for me. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to really surrender. And if you do that, even material things will become easier. But that cannot be the motive. But it works. Guaranteed. I experienced it myself. So I won't go into that, but and I didn't try to do it, but I understood afterward what happened. So it's available. It's there for all of us. All right. Yes.
Thank you very much for the next. You have given some kind of wonderful points that we can try to implement and nourish our Krishna consciousness based on those instructions, just by living in the household life. But when you mentioned that we should internalize, and we try to internalize what Prabhupada writes. So I particularly not find that whether my internalization is going in the correct direction, or I'm just thinking it by my own intelligence or by my own consciousness. So how to keep that in mind that this is the right path?
We have to go beyond intelligence, and Krishna tells us how to do that. Shamsata yuktanam vachitam pritipurvakam dami buddhiyogam tam. Then Krishna will take us beyond material intelligence and give us spiritual intelligence, if we just surrender and serve him with love. Now, as far as internalizing, it's not only internalizing. We also have to externalize, meaning that I internalize so that I can externalize. Otherwise, once you internalize more and you become more Krishna conscious, then you externalize by what I just said, becoming guru and teaching others. Give them books, give them prasadam, make that sacrifice, make your home a temple, and bring others into that atmosphere. So that's the product of internalization. It will manifest on the external platform. We will feel inspired to do these things. Because otherwise, I'm just being Krishna conscious to feel comfortable. And that's not full Krishna consciousness. Full Krishna consciousness means, in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, that I must feel compassion for others. Otherwise, I haven't really understood. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj, he said, Tato shoche vimukha chetasa, that I only have one lamentation, that people in Indriyani, that people, their senses, through their senses and their mind, they're becoming absorbed, and they turn their back to Krishna. And Maya Sukaya Paramudvahatos Vimudhan. And then Maya Sukaya, they try to enjoy the happiness offered by Maya by making so many arrangements in this world. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
I love the fact about balance that you said. Yoga and Tyaga really just fights so difficult. Something that I face a lot where I live, and there are no devotees around. Very similar to the Prabhuji's question, but on a different tangent. I have my practice at home. I feel very much at home with Krishna. But there are a lot of judgments around. I have to work, I have to go out, do what I need to do. There are so many judgments around, so much duality. The more I understand Krishna consciousness, the more I feel internally good. But when I step out to work, I feel very not anxious, agitated, but intolerant sometimes. How do I increase my tolerance? At the same time, I don't want to be isolated and either. I don't want to be extreme in Krishna consciousness that I get isolated so that I don't really even have a chance to spread Krishna consciousness to others when I can. And so is otherwise. So judgments are everywhere. How can I increase my tolerance? Because I think that is where I'm lacking.
Just desire that all of them become Krishna conscious around you. Desire it, and then Krishna will give you the intelligence how to do it in such a way. Give a little prasadam, invite whoever is a little friendly, invite them over, and say, have you ever chanted Hare Krishna? Oh, well, why don't we sit and chant for 5 minutes? Someone may say no, someone will say yes. There have to be some no's also. And we can't give up, oh no, it's not working. Because the no's means that we understand I'm not the doer. I'm Krishna will decide. But Prabhupada said, our duty is to approach people. We cannot make them Krishna conscious. But if we approach them, some will become Krishna conscious. Some won't. We can't be attached to the result. We want a good result. We want everyone to become Krishna conscious. But some won't. But some will. And once you make one of those neighbors Krishna conscious, then you'll feel so good that you will want to do it more. That's what I recommend. Just be enthusiastic. Rupa Goswami says, Utsaranistaya Dharya. That be enthusiastic, have faith in this process of Krishna consciousness and be patient for the result. Then it will happen. There's no how-to. You just have to desire it. And Krishna will give you the intelligence to figure out the how-to according to the environment and according to your time and everything. Just be convinced that I must do this. It's my duty. And these people are, thinking that they're happy. They're avoiding me. Just like we go out on Sankirtan, many people avoid us because they think, oh, if I get one of those books, I may have to give up my Maya. It's like sometimes we think if I chant too much, I may have to give up my plans for the future. Let me be a little careful. I just chant the minimum. If I do too much Krishna consciousness, then who knows? I may have to surrender to Krishna. So, yeah.
Under Narottam Prabhu's leadership, I kind of have some kind of an influence with social media services where we make various videos. You spoke about plays and dramas, hence I got this question. There are these media managers who are always giving us, talking about the trends, talking about the various reels that are getting very viral and inspiring us or pushing us to make such kind of videos sometimes. I was wondering, what should be the goal of making these videos? Is it just awareness of Krishna consciousness, or should there be some kind of a goal where we attract people?
Well, please keep working hard on that because this is the bastion of Maya, social media. And, sometimes I think devotees, they get carried away and they make it so devotional that it's only attractive to devotees. You have to think about making types of videos or, whatever, however you do it, that it makes people think something that it clicks, something clicks. Not like you just show a big kirtan and everybody's going to be attracted. Devotees will be attracted and some other people will be attracted. But really, you want to stimulate people into thinking about Krishna consciousness and challenge them a little bit. When the Back to Godhead magazine, back in the days when Prabhupada was here, it was very challenging. Every article was like challenging. And it was like, like nowadays it's very congregational, but then it was very like cutting edge, like one article Prabhupada wrote. Prabhupada didn't write the article, but he spoke. You can't eat nuts and bolts. No? So something like that, kind of people think, what does that mean? You can't eat nuts and bolts? And, it means that factories will not produce the essential things in life. That was the whole point of the article. But just that title caught people's attention. Just like I was mentioning the other day to some devotees that when I would go out and distribute books, I would say to people, what's the goal of your life? I would carry a little clipboard like I was doing some kind of survey. I'd say, what's the goal of your life? They wouldn't know what to say. They just sit there and then, I kind of disarmed them. Instead of, they saw I had books, I had a clipboard. I could figure out what is he up to, And so I said, what is the goal of your life? And then people say, well, taking care of my family and everything. And then I would try to, preach to them for like 30 seconds and then offer the book. This will help you define the goal in your life, the best goals that will give you the greatest benefit. And just try to get them to take the book. So you always try to think of something that will catch people's attention. That's what all these people do with, even Sadhguru, whoever it is. Try to put a title that will, that is something that people want to know, or that will challenge something that they say. That's how people get people to look at these videos, or they put a pretty woman or something. Something they think is something that will catch the person's attention. Just like I see some of these advertisements, selling some kind of steel or an apartment. They always have a beautiful woman on the balcony. Always something catches people's attention. So that's what we have to do with the video also. You want to get them into the video, draw them in deep enough that gets them to the message. Yeah.
I used to think that I understand the concept of duality in the material world, but then from last 2 days I'm reading 11th canto of and I realize I don't really understand the concept of duality.
Oh yeah, 11th canto is very revealing.
Please.
The 11th canto, you know why it's so philosophical? Because it follows Krishna Lila, so that people will understand Krishna Lila. It's not some fantasy. It's if you just read Krishna Lila and you don't understand the philosophy, it's like fairy tale. Here's something so many thousands of years ago, Krishna dancing, and sounds very very romantic. But very like adventurous. Krishna's killing these demons. He did this. But when you read the 11th canto, then you understand. You can go into the depth of Krishna Lila. So yes, the more we become Krishna conscious, the more we should understand that I don't understand. The more we should open ourselves up to understanding more, instead of being plagued by our false ego that I'm intelligent, I'm this, I'm that. And because the more you glorify yourself, the more you'll think, I don't need to advance. I'm okay. I'm Krishna conscious. My family's Krishna conscious. We're okay. We have that tendency to stagnate. But you can't stagnate. Like I said, then Maya will come in and take you in the other direction. You can't you can reach a little plateau and stay there for a little while. But if you don't take the next step, Maya will pull you in the other direction. Guaranteed. Certified. Any other question? Well, thank you all very much for your kind attention, and I hope that I've said something, some meaning to it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaura Premanandi, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai.